till I reach the top somehow.
Yes, my Straight Talk family, whenever you hear that theme song, you know it is time for me to say greetings to the entire world. Time for me to say good night to St. Kitts and Nevis. I must say good night to the entire Caribbean region. To my Straight Talk family in the Kittitian, Division, and Caribbean diaspora, I say greetings to all who we are reaching and communicating with at this present time, and even those who will join us later. In advance, I say good night, good morning, and or good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. I know that some of you are in Africa. There's some of you in Asia. There's some of you in Europe. And there are a whole lot of you all over North America. So let me say again, greetings one and all. And we do have first-timers each time around, because you continue to share the link, some of you, and for that we are eternally grateful. And for the first-timers, I hope and pray that this would not be your last time. And here's what, if you love what you see and or hear, go tell it over the mountain, go tell it to the world. And if you do not love what you view or hear, find a way to come tell it to me, and don't be afraid, because we are all about continuous improvement. And for the first timers, I must inform you that Straight Talk is a program, a public service program that facilitates and promotes free, underline free expression on all issues of national regional, and international interests, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, you do have a forum to express yourselves freely. On this program, we try as well to raise the level of national, regional, and international consciousness. We try to raise the level of national, regional, and international discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their obligations, and certainly to their responsibilities. Don't forget that as well. And my name is Ian Patches Liburn, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And as your host, I would always pledge to remain an untiring advocate of truthfulness, as I'm always reminded of the words of a favorite hymn of mine. And an excerpt goes something like this: we are called to be God's prophets, speaking for the truth and right, standing firm for godly justice, bringing all those evil things to light. So let's seek the courage needed, our high calling to fulfill, that we all may know the blessing of the doing of God's will. So my Straight Talk family, especially first-timers, I may advise you as well that absolutely nothing is watered down on this program to make it more interesting, neither by omission or exaggeration. Straight Talk is not about sensationalism. We don't try to create excitement, especially when it's going to come at the expense of accuracy, because we always lean on the facts. As it is my bounden duty to present what I call the unvarnished truth, the plain truth, especially when it comes to governance here in the Federation and wherever we are on the globe. Because this program joins us together with people across our Federation, and we are joined with people in the diaspora all around the world. Some we know very well, some we have met. Others we do not know, and many will never meet. Some will agree, and some of us will disagree, because we are a different people. And we entertain what I call a diversity, or diverse views, I should say, my Straight Talk family. And that's fine, because we, as I said, we are a different set of people. But what will sadden me, hear this, what will sadden me is if we ever become disagreeable. Let's just thank Almighty God, nonetheless, for helping us to understand, oh, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Let's therefore hope and pray for that day when we will all sing his praise together. So welcome again, my people, and thanks one more time for those of you who bring first-timers because you share the link. Please continue to do so. And for my first-timers, and for a reminder to all, Straight Talk is what I call a participative program. By that I mean, we include your calls and your emails. And if you're so minded calling, the numbers are on your screens. There's a local number and an overseas number. And some of you like what I call the cloak of anonymity. You do not want to be heard, especially in this neck of the woods. People get so vindictive. They cut you down because you talk, and especially when you talk the truth. The truth hurts. Why the truth hurts so badly? I always ask myself, but the truth really hurts. So we give you access via our email platform. That address is also on your screens. Straight Talk is also heard live on Alexa. For those who have access to Alexa, just say, Alexa, play Massive Vibes Radio. And we thank the owner of Alexa, who gives us access at a moderate fee. We are thankful for that. There's some of you who have made donations. Please continue to do so. It helps to support our efforts here on Straight Talk. And for that, I say a big, big thank you. I must also reassure you that no matter what your contribution, please don't stop, because it helps to continue this important service, as I said, a public service. Now, those who may wish to donate can simply scan the code on your screen to access the payment form. Very simple process, very confidential as well. So thank you again for your support and for helping us to keep the dialogue alive. As I always, it's imperative for me to welcome my junior brigade. And for those young ones who meet me and said, I don't call your names, I don't hail you. Yes, I can't hail you unless I get parental consent. So tell your mom, tell your dad, it's okay to get a holler if you are so in tune with Straight Talk. I got permission from the parents of Jasmine. Young Dwayne, I hope you still continue to remind your mom and dad too about the program. Tristan reminds his mom. Shama, Kevin, over there in Nevis. Young Rue Costa, over there in South Carolina. I trust you are still on the honor roll. And I haven't heard from your grandmom for a while, and I trust she is in a state of good health as well. Jamal in Anguilla. How is Anguilla? Lots of development, I understand, going on down there in Anguilla. Travis Travon. Upon extension, Neymar, my grandson. I'll be in trouble if I don't hail him. And his good friend Soraya. Elizabeth, and how is the special lady in St. Louis? Carlo in Sandy Point, are you still logged on? Trust you are. We normally start with our observations in review. And our observations in review highlight the current issues. We do some reflection. We ask a few questions. What was accomplished? How it helped others? What changed since? What is expected next? And importantly, what we have learned as a people. Because Straight Talk is all about learning, education. We try to inform you, keep you abreast with what's happening here in the Federation, in the Caribbean, and in all the regions around the world. And after our observations, we will move to our thesis as a feature of every program. And our thesis tonight, I have titled, Constitutional Impasse May Determine Destiny in Nevis. But on a solemn note, we must, my Straight Dog family, extend condolences to the families who have lost loved one generally, and in particular to Anglicans all over St. Kitts and Nevis, in the northeastern Caribbean, and Aruba, who are mourning the loss of Dean Emeritus, the very Reverend James Rudolph Smitten, who was gone to the great beyond. Known for his assertive theological style and spiritual leadership, Dean Emeritus Reverend James Rudolph Smitten will be long remembered for his mentorship skills he imparted to all with whom he encountered during his over 50 years of pastoral service, pastoral and community service. extend condolences to his family and ask that, or pray that his soul may rest in eternal peace. We've heard the sad news as well about the passing of Carl Springgate. I first met Carl when he was a radio announcer in St. Martin many, many moons ago, many, many years ago, of all places, St. Martin. And that was when I released one of my earlier recordings. Don't remember the radio station on which he worked. But when I released one of my earlier recordings, I bumped into a St. Kitts man. You know, Kiddishes and divisions are all over the world. And then we connected one more time while he was at Sugar City Rock over there in Greenlands. Sugar City Rock 90.3 FM, I think that's the band. Then I last met Carl at ZIZ Radio, where he finally took his unique style of broadcasting, with the gospel music in particular. And Carl, to me, was one of a kind. Physically, he will no longer be with us, but spiritually, I'm certain that his works will live on. To his brother, Val Henry, I extend, and his entire family, we extend condolences as well on the parting or on the occasion of our departed brother. And we ask and pray that his soul too may rest in eternal peace. So condolences are extended to all who are left to mourn the loss of our departed brethren, and there are some who maybe as well mourning the loss of family. They too, for them we say condolences. And just to remind all that death is a process. You can say anything, but Jimmy Cliff was the one who said, who feels it knows it. Our first observation for tonight, my Straight Talk family, very interesting news about the launch of Epic Fury. United States military launch Epic Fury in concert with the Israeli government. And Khamenei of Iran is dead.
Over the past 36 hours, the United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury, one of the largest, most complex, most overwhelming military offensives the world has ever seen. Nobody's seen anything like it. We have hit hundreds of targets in Iran, including Revolutionary Guard facilities, Iranian air defense systems. Just now it was announced that we knocked out 9 ships plus their naval building, all in a matter of literally minutes. Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. This wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands and was responsible for the slaughter of countless thousands of innocent people all across many countries. Last night, all over Iran, the voices of the Iranian people could be heard cheering and celebrating in the streets when his death was announced. The entire military command is gone as well, and many of them want to surrender into saving their lives. They want immunity. They're calling by the thousands. Combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved. We have very strong objectives. They could have done something 2 weeks ago, but they just couldn't get there. Earlier today, CENTCOM shared the news that 3 U.S. military service members have been killed in action. As one nation, we grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more, but we'll do everything possible where that won't be the case. But America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war against basically civilization. They have waged war against civilization itself.
Yes, they have waged war, according to Donald Trump, against civilization. And American lives have been lost. And I'm sure many are concerned as to how long this mission will continue and how many more lives will be lost. But United Kingdom Prime Minister Keir Starmer addressed the British people, and he too pledged support for the security of his allies in the region. And Starmer, in speaking to the UK people, said this.
Earlier this morning, the United States and Israel struck targets in Iran. Iran has since launched indiscriminate strikes across the region. I know the British people and communities across our country will be deeply concerned about what this means for security and stability, and for the fate of innocent people across the region. The United Kingdom played no role in these strikes, but we have long been clear the regime in Iran is utterly abhorrent. They have murdered thousands of their own people, brutally crushed dissent, and sought to destabilize the region. Even in the United Kingdom, the Iranian regime poses a direct threat to dissidents and to the Jewish community. Over the last year alone, they have backed more than 20 potentially lethal attacks on UK soil. So it is clear they must never be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon. That remains the primary aim of the United Kingdom and our allies, including the US. I condemn Iran's attacks today on partners across the region, many of which are not parties to this conflict. We extend our support and solidarity to them as part of our commitments to the security of our allies in the Middle East. We have a range of defensive capabilities in the region, which we've recently strengthened. Our forces are active, and British planes are in the sky today as part of coordinated regional defensive operations to protect our people, our interests, and our allies. Iran can end this now. They should refrain from further strikes, give up their weapons programs, and cease the appalling violence and repression against the Iranian people, who deserve the right to determine their own future in line with our long-standing position. This is the route to de-escalation. and back to the negotiating table. Thank you.
British Prime Minister Starmer providing support to his allies, including the US. But one reporter, Mark Thiessen, said the attack on Iran will change the world. FDR, he reported, as President Roosevelt, defeated Hitler and fascism. President Ronald Reagan oversaw the fall of communism. Remember those famous words from Ronald Reagan: Gorbachev, tear down that wall. Donald Trump, according to Thiessen, has staked his place as one of the most consequential commanders-in-chief in American history. And Thiessen said this:
there have been 45 American presidents, 47 presidencies, but Grover Cleveland and Trump served twice. And of those, a very small handful have truly changed the world. You can look at Ronald Reagan with the fall of communism. You can look at FDR with the defeat of Hitler and the defeat of fascism. Donald Trump is going to stake his place today as one of the most consequential commanders-in-chief in American history. And it's important to remember, this could have gone very badly. We just saw the State of the Union where he gave the Medal of Honor to Eric Sloper, the helicopter pilot who carried out that mission to get Maduro. That was an incredibly risky decision by the president. If that helicopter had gone down, it could have been his Desert One. The risk involved in this operation was 10 times that. And he didn't flinch. He made the right decision, and he's going to change the world because of it.
Donald Reagan, Donald Trump, beg your pardon. Yes, some look at the man and not the mission. But our second observation, and we will be following, of course, those developments in the Middle East. We know what it has done to the disruption of many lives and transportation in particular, air transportation in that region. Our second observation, we take a look at our own Prime Minister, Terence Michael Drew, the current chairman of CARICOM. And an embarrassing moment for all of us when a question was posed to Prime Minister Drew, who found himself in a pickle and tried to dodge a legitimate question about the United States action, military action on the illegal drug trade in the Caribbean. And the question was posed to Prime Minister Drew. Hear this.
Did CARICOM support or endorse the United States military action in the Caribbean with regards to illegal drug trade?
Right, you're asking about a question which I sought to answer at this particular time. You mean to say, Lucia? Right, good. Good.
He asked the question to you, and he asked the question whether CARICOM has endorsed.
Right, CARICOM stand on principle to make sure that anything that is done, this or anything, has to follow a particular international law. You're asking that CARICOM, with a CARICOM at this time and the necessary.
Imagine, my straight dog family, some of the things we don't see when our Prime Minister is out there facing the world. Very embarrassing moment for him. But meanwhile, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, did confirm that in his meeting with the heads, that they in fact endorse the actions, military actions of the United States of America in the Western Hemisphere, in the Caribbean here in particular. But after that drone strike, just off St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines reported finding cocaine with a $500 million street value, $500 million. That was reported in the St. Vincent Times just after that drone strike off the waters in Beckway or somewhere down there off St. Lucia, I think it is, beg your pardon. And two fisher folk lost their lives in the process. But St. Vincent and the Grenadines reported, the National Security Minister, Major Leacock, you can see on your screen here, reported that the strike in the Caribbean led to a $500 million US cocaine haul. And those are my observations in review for tonight. And I move right into my thesis, my Stray Dog family, which I said I have titled Constitutional Impasse May Determine Destiny in Nevis. And I asked the question, will there ever be mutual respect for the leadership of the two entities that make up the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis? And that's the question Straight Talk believes that will loom over the people of this federation so long as the Constitution remains in its current form without any amendments. To the average Kittitian and division, I'm sure that this is not important. Once they can board a ferry at downtown Bastia and at Charlestown, or a water taxi at Wally and or Cockleshell Bay, or perhaps some political leader will accumulate the wisdom and the fortitude to build that bridge to connect St. Kitts and Nevis and give us what I like to call the physical permanence of these two islands and one lovely paradise. For those aspiring to lead us, however, and those who have in fact led us for over a century, the question has been determined in most cases by something called political expediency. Think about our Constitution, Independence Constitution. That, no doubt, was founded on political expediency. And if after 42 and going on to 43 years of independence, we have not come to the realization that the Nevis Island Administration, the NIA, conducts elections every 5 years to elect a government for Nevis. And the federal elections are conducted no more than every 5 years as well to elect a government for St. Kitts. So we have a federation built on uneven foundations. The Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis achieved independence in 1983, like I said, with a constitution that attempted to balance unity with autonomy. If granted Nevis its own island, it granted, beg your pardon, Nevis its own island administration and uniquely a unilateral right to secede under prescribed conditions. And the father of Nevis did make mention of that, my Stray Dog family.
We must be like the people of Anguilla. When the Constitution was to be presented or to be applied in St. Kitts, Nevis and Anguilla in 1967, The people of Angola said, no way, we will not go into statehood under that constitution. And they took up arms and they fought, they backed their talks with action. Mark you, they were helped by people in Springgate who had their own axe to grind. But the people from Angola, they took up arms to defend their country. We haven't got to do that. We haven't got to do that. We hope we have never got to do that. Because we now have the opportunity to get our freedom, our independence, by the stroke of a pen.
Yes, by the stroke of a pen, Nevis can get this independence. And that's in reference to that 113 clause. That alone speaks volumes about the historical distrust between the islands. And no one would have the courage to remove that clause. None, not one leader. And it can be done right now. But long before independence, and that's for another occasion, divisions resisted political, what they call amalgamation. The failed Trinity Arrangement of 1882 and the eventual secession of Anguilla in the 1960s demonstrate a persistent pattern to wit the smaller islands resisting domination by the larger partner. Even after independence, this tension manifested dramatically. In 1993, the 1993 to 1995 constitutional crisis, recall, when then Premier Vance Amory refused the offer to become Prime Minister following a deadlock general election. The late Vance Winkworth Amory insisted back then that Nevis, and these were his words, would not interfere in the internal political affairs of St. Kitts.
Nevis has a local government which looks after Nevis affairs in every aspect except for foreign affairs. St. Kitts does not have the same government. It means that the federal government, in effect, is the St. Kitts, or the government of St. Kitts. And they were not, the federation system, the involvement of Nevis only came into effect when the numbers turned up the way they turned up. And I think we have to recognize that. We're looking at numbers, but we're not looking at a system which has a local government in Nevis, none in St. Kitts, and where the federal government acts in effect as the St. Kitts local government. And I think we must not let that down. I think if we can accept that, then all the discussions, all of the questions would then have to cease at that.
And that principled stand, taken by the late Vance Winkworth Amory, beg your pardon, led to fresh elections, recall, in 1995, and temporarily preserve what I call federal equilibrium. 3 decades later, the roles are far more entangled. And more so, from the moment Mark Brantley assumed office in government, the political system became stuck or unable to function properly because of an interpretation over a constitutional rule, or Section 1110, which speaks to revenue allocation between St. Kitts and Nevis, whereby the Constitution mandates how revenue is shared between the government and the NIA. We call the claim for a fair share for Nevis and for 25% of CBI fees, which was classified as non-tax revenue. And that caused much disagreement over his constitutional interpretation, as the Constitution relates to tax revenue only. Remember, the former Prime Minister and third Prime Minister, I should say, moved to the World Bank to get an independent opinion That has since come, we understand, but the public has never seen it. All those things are done in the dark. But tax and non-tax revenues are just economic classifications in the view of many pundits of finance. But under Mark Brantley, we now have conflicting claims of authority between branches of government, the federal government, and the NIA. The political dynamic between St. Kitts and Nevis, two constituent islands, has always been shaped by constitutional asymmetry, I call it, an imbalance of rights, secession, responsibilities between political entities that are formally part of the same system, political pragmatism as well, doing what works, and unresolved historical tension. Today, that uneasy balance is once again being tested by Straight Dog family.
Project, we are also waiting on that, Mr. George. We sent since the 23rd of December to the federal government indicating that after our own exhaustive stakeholder engagements and engagements with the general public, exhaustive engagement with the developers, the back and forth, that we finally had arrived at a position where we were comfortable, and we sent them that agreement asking, of course, for their sign-off because that is the scheme of the legislation. 23rd, yesterday, would have marked 2 months since that matter is now with Bastille, and we keep following up with them to say to them that we need a response. We have been concerned, and I say it now because it is true, that this project does not die due to neglect in Bastille. And I've said that because this is a Nevis project. This project will unleash over $1 billion worth of investment. When I travel around Nevis now, the question that I get from people is, when is the project going to start? And we are being held up because Bastille needs to take their position in relation to it. So I say that so far as we are concerned, we've done the work. It is a Nevis project. The impact of it is largely going to be in Nevis in terms of any jobs and economic advancement. But St. Kitts will also benefit because economic development in one part of the country is also economic development in the whole of the country. But we are talking about multiple percentage expansion of our GDP. We're talking about significant jobs, thousands of jobs. We're talking about significant revenue generation. And just to give you an idea of how anxious people are, the recent numbers I saw said over 1,500 persons had already signaled their interest in working at Destiny.
And my Straight Dog family, this impasse, because that's what it is, surrounding the proposed Destiny project in Nevis, coming from the lack of response, seemed to have strained the relationship between the Prime Minister Terence Drew and Nevis Premier Mark Brantley. The broader constitutional ambiguities embedded in the 1983 Independence Constitution together raise a fundamental question. Can mutual respect truly exist between the federal government in St. Kitts and the Nevis Island administration in Nevis under the current constitutional arrangement with a man like Mark Brantley as Premier? And this is not merely a disagreement over a development project. It is a constitutional stress test, one that exposes structural weakness that have lingered since independence. The present crisis is bordered on a crisis, or bordering, I should say, on a crisis. Constitutional ambiguity meets political duality. Premier Mark Brantley occupies a constitutionally unusual and politically delicate position. As Premier of Nevis, he's the leader of His Majesty's loyal opposition in the federal parliament. He straddles both arms of the federation. Thus his participation in official delegations led by Prime Minister Drew blurred traditional lines of adversarial politics. However, his exclusion from the Prime Minister's delegation to the 50th CARICOM Heads of Government meeting, chaired and hosted by the Prime Minister himself, did not sit well with Brantley. As someone put it, he sat at the back of the bus.
The Premier of Nevis, he holds a title similar to the one of Tobago House of Assembly Chief Secretary Fali Augustine, and they spoke about issues surrounding autonomy. And interestingly enough, he praised Prime Minister Prasad Bisesa for inviting Mr. Augustine to the CARICOM meeting. According to him, he wasn't even invited, and he is the Premier of Nevis. This is what he had to say.
Well, let me put it in context for you. The 50th anniversary is being celebrated in St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm the Premier of Nevis, and I wasn't invited. So I wasn't a part of any delegation. I merely attended the opening ceremony like everybody else, and that was it.
That was it. He had to sit at the back of the bus. Was this an oversight? Ask yourselves. Or has Prime Minister Drew signaled eventually a shift from cooperation? Is Terence Michael Drew's appointment of two committees now bordering on confrontation with Mark Brantley, my straight dog family? These are questions we ask.
In St. Kitts, that the federal government has appointed one committee, they say, to look at the SSZ. That really has nothing to do with this, because that committee can only propose amendments going forward. They've also said now that they've proposed some other committee to look at the Destiny agreement itself. Why, I'm not quite sure, because even during the parliamentary debate, the understanding was that if it's a project on St. Kitts, then the Prime Minister would appoint an oversight body. If it's a project on Nevis, the expectation is that the Premier would appoint an oversight body, and I've already signaled, Mr. George, that I intend to do so. You asked who the members were. There are no members yet because that body has not yet been constituted. But I do intend to appoint the oversight body to deal with the implementation of the project. Recall that under the legislation that was passed, you can have an oversight body to do one of two things. One, to review a project, or two, to review the implementation of the project. We opted to, in Nevis, to look at the review for the implementation. That is to have a body in place that ensures that everybody's feet are held to the fire and that the project proceeds as planned. So that is where we are, but we have not yet activated that. My only effort in that regard, as far as to write to the opposition, asking them to nominate, and both opposition members in the parliament would have written back to indicate their course of action, and so we have stayed our hands on that until we have greater clarity. But right now, Mr. George, we are waiting on St. Kitts. Federal government, that is where matters lie, and this project is waiting patiently to proceed once we can get some response from them. So I hope that I've addressed your various questions. Sure.
For clarity, though, my Sherlock family, he referred to as the opposition. He meant the opposition members, not in the parliament. Nevis has a legislative assembly. He referred to it as a parliament, so don't be fooled. But at the center of the current impasse, we agree, lies the Destiny project. This proposed special economic zone development covering approximately 2,400 acres of land in Nevis. The legislation facilitating such zones was introduced federally, moved by the Prime Minister, and seconded by the Premier in his capacity in the Parliament as leader of the opposition. Really, he's a government backbencher sitting on the opposition benches in the Parliament in St. Kitts. Yet the project now reportedly awaits the Prime Minister's signature. The delay has constitutional implications, according to Brantley.
Just a clarification. February 19th, the Government Information Services say that the government has appointed an independent oversight body to pursuant to the laws of the Sustainable Development Act to oversee the Destiny project. And it states that on the 29th of January, it received a the application with the supporting documents was formally submitted by the Nevis Island Administration Cabinet to the Federal Cabinet on the 29th of January 2026.
Well, I don't know what it is they're saying, but I can tell you that we sent on the 23rd of December. The reason why it's important, because I said let us get it out of the way before the Christmas and the Carnival celebrations take over. I didn't expect the federal government to do anything because I figured the boys would have been in Juve, but I said that let us get it out of the way. So the operative date that we have was the 23rd. What I can tell you, Mr. George, is that sometime in late January, the Attorney General did reach out to us asking us to put the information in a particular format, which we then did. So I'm not sure if that's the date that they're using to say that that's when they got it. But I can tell you that they would have received communication from us on the 23rd of December attaching the version of the agreement that we were comfortable with. Bearing in mind that this agreement has now gone through probably almost 40 versions by now that we were comfortable with. So that is the position. So it may be that what they're pointing to is when they requested that the information be formatted in a particular way. And we did that, and that was resent to them sometime in January at their request. But they've actually had that information and that agreement since the 23rd of December.
That's some 2 months ago, my Stray Dog family. And Brantley asserts that development within Nevis falls within the authority of the NIA and should not be stymied by the federal inaction, is what he called it.
Good morning, Premier. Andre Huey, SK Newsline and TVC Channel 40. Just some follow-up questions to the question that was asked earlier about Destiny. The press release that was issued by the government last week on the establishment of the ad hoc committee and the oversight body. It says that in accordance with the Act, the independent oversight body's mandate is to examine the application and provide written opinions to the federal cabinet on matters including compliance with the mandatory statutory prerequisites, the developer's financial, organizational, and technical capacity, economic projections, governance implications, and environmental and fiscal risk exposure. Now, in light of that, one, do you anticipate that this will further delay the project? And you're saying that you don't understand why the government would do this. According to what they're saying this is according to the Act. We need to have this independent oversight body to advise the federal government. And two, was there anything in the consultations that you had, the NIA had on Island, that would prompt the NIA or the government to look at certain changes to the legislation? In other words, concerns that may have been raised that you consider legitimate concerns that maybe should be looked at in adjusting the legislation going forward. Those two for now.
Okay. So the short answer is if you look at the legislative requirement in that act, and I was there during the parliamentary debate, I supported that bit of legislation. It does not mandate anything. It says may. That's the first thing. So it means that the federal government has chosen to put this committee in place. Same way that I have said that I will put that committee in place. But they have chosen to put a committee in place to look at the proposal itself. Whereas the legislation says that you can put a committee in place to look at the proposal or to look at its implementation. So we in Nevis have said we will put a committee in place to look at the implementation since the Nevis project. Right? So a lot of the issues here are really, in my opinion, choices that are being made. And those choices, you're absolutely correct, will lead to delays. Because if you're going to appoint a committee, and that the intention of that committee is to advise you on all these manner of things, the committee needs time And whilst you are appointing committees and waiting on committees to advise, what's happening is the clock is running on financial and commercial commitments that have been made. So Destiny, for example, would have said, well, listen, we are buying this 100 acres of land for the sake of argument, and the deadline for closing, we've already paid deposits and all that. The deadline for closing is, let's say it's March 15, just drawing a reference. If that is a deadline, then any delays that pushes you past that now creates commercial problems. Because if you can't meet those deadlines, it either means that those contracts go away, or you have to renegotiate those contracts. And so it injects commercial uncertainty. And why I'm saying that I am a little, confused by this is, obviously this is a Nevis project. Nevis has a government. And the Nevis government has engaged extensively. Mr. Huey,
My Straight Talk family, concerns we know have been raised by the local bar association regarding the autonomy proposed for the developer. Concerns have been raised regarding the involvement of the Premier's spouse, Sharon Mama Brantley, as a realtor intermediary, the sole real estate agent, the go-between, as he called her, go-between Olivier Janssens, the developer, and landowners. And all these perceptions of impropriety. And we ask ourselves, who benefits? Who benefits, my Straight Dog family? The Brantley household, I hear you say. But what about the optics of the Premier boarding the developer's tender to move to his luxury yacht anchored off the Four Seasons Resort? Look at the Premier of Nevis, Mark Anthony Graham Brantley, in his short pant, as if he's going on a fishing trip, going to the luxury yacht to haul his pot. His pot of what, we ask, my Straight Dog family? Does what appear as administrative delay carries political symbolism? It is interpreted by some as federal oversight, by others as political leverage. But lessons have been learned from these historical storms, we call them. Fractured federation. And this is not the first time federal Nevis relations have reached a boiling point. And that's where it is. Think of 1998. Nevis held a secession referendum that narrowly failed to achieve the required two-thirds majority. That moment demonstrated both the seriousness of division grievances and the fragility of the Union. More recently, the collapse of the Team Unity Coalition government, in which Brantley played a central role. And that revealed how quickly political alliances can unravel when questions of equity and fair share arise. Brantley's long-standing argument that Nevis deserves proportionate economic returns and development autonomy. And these tensions are rooted in structural imbalance. Nevis has constitutional protected autonomy. Yes, we've heard of it. Senkis, despite the larger partner, lacks the reciprocal safeguards. But my Straight Talk family, the structure incentivizes political expediency over institutional clarity. But there may be, or have been, there has been, I should say, a very interesting twist, as Straight Talk received a copy of a letter from the Nevis civil society, which I'll post for you, my Straight Dog family. The font is a little small, but I believe we can read it. Let's read it together, my Straight Dog family. I'm sure we can. Dated 11th of February 2026, and addressed to the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, Prime Minister. Copied to the Honorable Mark A.G. Brantley, the Honorable Garth Lucifer Wilkin, and Olivia Janssens. The caption, Formal Requests for Destiny, Special Sustainability Zones, beg your pardon, Development Agreement. Dear Prime Minister Drew, it reads, on behalf of the Nevis Civil Society Coalition, we formally request an official copy of the proposed Destiny Special Sustainability Zones Development Agreement that the Nevis Island Administration, NIA, approved and forwarded to your office on December 23rd. June's January 27, 2026 monthly press conference, Premier Mark Brantley confirmed that the NIA had conducted exhaustive town halls and stakeholder engagements on the above proposal before forwarding its formal approval and the final draft agreement to your office. He stated that while the agreement has not yet been signed, the NIA has signaled its comfort with the terms and expects Federal Cabinet review in short order, followed by parliamentary debate. The Premier also indicated that the agreement will ultimately be made public. It continues, my Straight Dog family, as we read together. As representatives of the Nevis Civil Society and citizens of the Federation, we believe informed democratic participation requires transparent access to this agreement, which will profoundly affect land use and sovereignty in Nevis, economic and environmental policy, constitutional governance, parliamentary process, and the rights and livelihoods of Nevis's residents. Pursuant to Section 23 of the Nevis Freedom of Information Ordinance 2018, number 3 of 2018, which establishes the right of citizens to access documents held by public authorities, we specifically request a complete unredacted copy of the proposed agreement between Destiny Development Limited, represented by Mr. Olivia Janssens, Premier Brantley, and the Nevis Island Administration, forwarded to your office by Premier Brantley on or about December 23, 2025. The timeline for Federal Cabinet review and parliamentary presentation, any amendments or supplementary documents. This request, it continues, is grounded in the constitutional right of citizens to examine agreements affecting their governance before parliamentary ratification, as well as the precedent set by Premier Brantley's public acknowledgement that the agreement will be made public and submitted to Parliament. Transparent governance demands public access to agreements funded by and affecting public lands and resources. We respectfully request that you provide a written response within 7 days, confirming receipt and providing either the agreement or a specific date for its public release. Please note, NCS will issue a public statement with regards to this request to keep the general public abreast of lobbying efforts with regard to the SSZ. We look forward to constructive engagement on behalf of the Nevis citizens. And signed respectively the Nevis Civil Society, signed by one Glendale Herbert, President, Richard Lupinacci, President of the Nevis Hotel Association, Isabel Byron, President of the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society, and Martha Hoffman, owner of the Montpelier Hotel. So my Straight Dog family, reading this letter tells us that this war continues. And I hope and pray that this war will go to the very end. First of all, to the court of first instance, where this matter could be tested, seeking judicial clarification of the extent of federal discretion under the special economic zone legislation. Such litigation would either strengthen federal oversight or entrench division autonomy. But either way would formalize the divide. Who will benefit most, my Straight Dog family? I asked that question before. Because no one is saying that it is a CBI project. Or rather, the only person who have said that is the developer himself, Olivier Johnson. He said this.
Is the project a CBI project?
We're still discussing with the government, of course, but yes, the idea is that people that buy a unit can also or get a passport with that. So it also increases the CBI income, because the CBI income has been drying up substantially. It's also a big concern for the island, so it can definitely help rejuvenate the whole passport program.
And don't lose sight of the fact that they have applied for 10,000 shares or investment units. 10,000, my Straight Dog family. 10,000, if they get that, would be the equivalent to 40,000 passports. Imagine, 4 per family. The applicant, his spouse, and 2 children. But we understand that a part of that 10,000 would be to develop the roads and other infrastructure, water and electricity. But another part is to buy land. Imagine, sell the passports. I beg your pardon. Sell our passports. Passports belonging to you and I. Passports belonging to the landowners. Sell the passports and pay the same landowners for the land. What hypocrisy. And who is selling the land, like I said? Sharon Mama Brantley. So the Brantley's household will benefit millions of dollars. But my Straight Dog family, look forward for the Premier, who is leader of the opposition, to intensify his adversarial tactics in Parliament, deepen his political polarization. He's already started with his insularity. And my Straight Dog family, the timing of this impasse is particularly perilous when the Federation faces rising costs of living pressures, increasing national debt, reduced CBI revenues due to regional harmonization and global scrutiny. My Straight Dog family, the Destiny Project is not fundamentally about land, signatures, or yachts. It is about constitutional clarity, political trust, and the unresolved psychology of a federation born out of reluctant unity.
If this project is held up to the point in Springgate where it dies a natural death, then what do we say to the people of Nevis? What do we say to the 300 young people who have just come out of 6th form and 5th form, CSS and GSS, who are looking work? What am I going to tell them? Go to Springgate to find out if they could find work over there? These are some of the challenges of this Twin Island Federation. Because, Mr. Huey, you're going to reverse it now. If this project were on St. Kitts, the people of Nevis would have no say. The NIA, the Premier, the Cabinet would have no say in whether that project moves forward. So ask yourself that question. Ask yourself that question.
My Straight Dog family, the 1983 Constitution attempted to reconcile autonomy with union, but left room for ambiguity. Ambiguity that political actors like Mark Pantley exploit when convenient and condemn when unfavorable. So long, my Straight Dog family, as we have this situation where Nevis retains a unilateral secession clause and St. Kitts remains constitutionally exposed without reciprocal protections, the relationship will continue, my Straight Dog family, to oscillate between cooperation and confrontation. It will.
Appointed one committee, they said, to look at the implementation of the project. We opted to, in Nevis, to look at the review for the implementation. That is to have a body in place that ensures.
So, my Straight Dog family, we hope that the Prime Minister will ultimately refuse this approval, and the Premier will find a defining choice. Let him escalate toward constitutional brinksmanship or retreat into negotiated compromise. His political history suggests that Mark will out-terrorize Michael Drew's light so that his light can shine. The economic realities of the Federation demand restraint, my Straight Dog family. But we need reform. An upset of such reform, the Federation risks remaining what has often been a political marriage sustained not by harmony, but by necessity. And necessity, history teaches us, is really a stable foundation for unity. Straight Talk will continue to watch as this constitutional impasse may determine destiny in Nevis. That's my story tonight, my Straight Talk family, and I'm not going to change it. But we're going to follow this story, and we trust that the CIU will continue to refuse a recommendation to move this project forward. I'll open the lines, my Straight Talk family, and now entertain your calls and your emails. When I do so, momentarily, I anticipate that you will respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned, and let us ensure that the things we say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in the process of doing and saying those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. With that said, I go to the lines at 15 past the 9 o'clock hour. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller.
Good night, Mr. Liebert.
Good night, my dear.
The whole constitutional heritage rebels at the thought of giving government the power to control men's minds.
Power to control men's mind.
Yes. I repeat, our whole constitutional heritage rebels at the thought of giving government the power to control men's minds. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening as well, and thank you as usual, for your thought-provoking quotations each time around, coming from right across the waters there in Nevis. The whole constitutional heritage rebels at the thought of giving. Let me see if I got that right. I don't even understand my own writing, but giving government the power to control men's mind. The whole constitutional heritage rebels at the thought of giving government the power to control men's minds. Reads this email. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Mr. Straight Talk.
Mr. Straight Talk. Abracadabra.
Abracadabra. How are you, my wonderful brother?
I am peaceful, my brother. What about you?
What can I say? So far, so good. It's well. All is well. All is going well. I didn't know that you know Springgate.
Of course, I knew him very well.
Yes, he and I become friends over the years. From as he start working, so I said he and I become friends. And we've been friends all the years. I just didn't see him when I went down because I just tell myself, well, I got to get all these things. But you know what's so funny? He keeps calling me and I will talk to him. Saturday afternoon, I was doing something. We were fixing a TV or something like that. And he called me and I said, you know what, I'll call him back. And I never call him back. I never call him back, Mr. Straight Talk. When I catch myself, I'm in the bed last night. And this young lady called me and said, I have some sad news for you. I said, what? Thinking she telling me, well, some man of a family passed. She tell me, no, your friend died. I said, who friend? She said, Springgate. I said, you sure? She said, yes. I said, because I was wondering what happened to him. And I said, Monday, Sunday morning, he just never come on. And I had to leave to go to church. So I have no idea. Only for she to say, yes, he died. Yes. Man, that's going to be a miss.
Oh, yes.
Because there was nobody like him, and I said.
Yes, one of a kind.
That guy had a talent.
Yes, one of a kind.
He was just good. He was just good in what he do. So, well, he's gone. What can we cannot do nothing about it. We just got to do what we have to do. So, thank you for your input about him. You know, he was good. Mr. Straight Talk, I listened to you concerning our King Lawyer on Thursday. And what's her name there? The Prime Minister of Trinidad really shake up CARICOM.
Yes.
CARICOM really need shaking up. I mean, you have people, and here our Prime Minister was saying he concerned about his friends. They be concerned about not the West people. Because that's what he was saying, his friends, them, and he didn't say, well, the Cuban people. Maybe I'm wrong. Understand? Maybe he says the Cuban people, but I understand him like it's his friends, them he more concerned about. I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah.
What? His friends?
His friends in you. Yeah.
No. You mean I'm right?
Yes, you're right. You're perfectly right, my brother. Yes?
No. Our Prime Minister is out. Our Prime Minister is a hypocrite. He just cares about his friends. He ain't care about the Cuban people. So now it takes somebody else to shake him up and say, listen, no, what's going on there? You mean all of us are run for election? All of us in here. And that lady really pressured him now.
Oh, yeah.
She said, any one of you in here, all of us in here with election. But these people don't know what.
Okay.
Mr. Straight Talk, I think I said enough. Let me just say thanks to you for tonight because you did put on a good show on my friend Springgate. So you be good and take care, and I'll see you when I see you. Take care of yourself. Just continue to do what you do. Abracadabra. See you when I see you.
My brother. Let's go back to the line. Thank this caller for holding. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good night.
Yes, my brother. Good night. Is that the Bible man? What's up?
That's the Bible man.
Yes, Bible man, you're early tonight. What's your first?
No, but I would have get in before the man, but I just blocked it.
Okay. What's on your mind?
Patches,
Psalms what?
Psalm 41.
Psalm 41. How that goes now?
Blessed is the man that considereth the poor.
Your favorite psalm. Your favorite psalm.
Your favorite psalm.
Yes.
In the time of trouble,
yes,
he will deliver us.
Yeah.
That is, I was talking to a fellow one day. And I really tell the fellow that we not got nobody to look after we. And the fellow couldn't understand that, and he won't answer. But listen, when I always said, God look after the poor people. And when God put you up there, Mr. Patches, He put you up there to look after the poor people. No, Mr. Sona. Psalm 75 tell you He put up and He bring down. And I was telling somebody, but last week at sometime, that a God ruled the whole universe, and a God got anchored in His palm of His hand. And I'm not talking about politics tonight, but I'm saying this to Mr. Patches. A God gonna win this election. We're coming. When people kneel down, Mr. Patches, and pray and fast, God can hear them.
Okay.
And so, Mr. Patches, when people believe to say they got it in the hand, it's gone.
Okay, my brother. Thank you.
But listen here.
Yes.
I don't want to preach. I ain't going to preach, but
No.
you cut me out.
Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot, my brother. Thanks a lot. Okay, that's the Bible man. He gave me one verse and only one. Caller, you're alive. Hello, caller.
Mr. Liburd.
Oh, my dear.
I love how the Prime Minister have Mark. He have him where he's supposed to be. Mark is a wicked premier. Can you imagine that Dr. Janice won her seat and up to now, Mark not give the woman an office? Right? All the parties I remember long time ago with Malcolm Gishard and Vance Amri, NRP and CCM, we used to get along as two parties. We used to be happy. Since Mark get in there, there's so much a hatred.
Yeah.
Hatred in Nevis when he come around the two parties. You know, I remember one time Mr. Amri said, Nevis people gonna put their hand on their head and bawl for Mark Rantley. And everything he said about Mark is coming to life. Yeah. Everything. Mark is a wicked premier, the worst Nevis ever have. And we well want him out of there. Have a great evening.
Before you go there, my dear, the second rebels at the thought of giving government. That's the right word I had.
Hello?
The quotation.
The quotation.
You're the one who gave the quotation.
Our
whole constitutional heritage.
Our whole constitutional heritage rebels at the thought of giving government the power
okay, I got you then. Yes.
to control men's minds.
Yes, thanks a lot for that. And you're so correct about Mark. You know, he's okay. Thanks a lot for that. Let's go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yes. Good night, Brother Patches. Good night to all the listeners.
Good night, my brother.
So, Patches, let's dissect some.
You sound like you're in a foxhole. Yeah, Trump sending the bunkers.
I'm getting a feedback from you.
Me?
From me. I am
something like.
You're probably too close to equipment or something. Just listen to the phone.
No. It's totally mute.
Oh, I thought.
Totally mute.
Okay.
Let me try a little louder then. Okay, let's dissect all what has been presented so far.
Mm-hmm.
We have in Nevis and the Destiny SSV situation. We have Premier Mark Brantley. We have his wife. We have Olive Johnson. We have Prime Minister Senkis. Now, this is said to be an investment coming into the Federation that will create jobs so far. Now, if Oliver Johnson is the one seeking this project into Nevis, what was the start of financial due diligence to start this program? Because here is it, we're going further. What kind of deposit being put on these lands from the landowners in Nevis? What is their down payment? That they get cash for their land pending the balance, or they want to get the land first, build up the land by selling shares to these 10,000 families, which will be multiplied, 2 adults, spouse, and 2 children, which is 40,000. And from that proceeding, they will utilize the money to build roads, the infrastructure, so to speak, whatever commission belongs to the liaison or the go-between, and its extension. What will the Federation or what will Nevis get in terms of proceedings? Now, if, from what I understand, this man is not coming with no money. No money. Well, he want to use our resources to put money in his pocket. Does he have money? Oh, this is a chili bam bam, sitting on a fence trying to make $1 out of 50 cents. Or nothing at all. I need to know, because I am confused where it seems like everyone wants to use our resources and take us for fools. And then time after time, at the end of the day, they kid out whole up. They're gone. So what is this? I smell fish and it stinks at the head, and I'm not for this. If there would have been an investment, then they should have all their money, because they had ample time to do their survey, to know what they need. It's an investment program from our resources for these people to get richer and richer and leave us poor. At the end of the day, we lose our land, we lose our patrimony, and that's not good. I will leave it there. Open for others to criticize or to realize. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And not to lose sight of the fact, not only the developer, beg your pardon, would make money from the sale of our passports, if that deal is approved, but the Premier's household would also benefit millions, hear me, millions of dollars from the sale of the lands. My straight dog family. But our quotation reads, my straight dog family, our quotation again: the whole constitutional heritage rebels at the thought of giving government the power to control men's minds. And we have to take that power from Brantley. I trust Nevisians will. I read this letter, in case you missed it, from the Nevis Civil Society. And what I note, if you look at the right of your monitors, your screens there, the letter is signed by two powerful hoteliers, Richard Lupinacci, that's a name, vintage, who is president of the Nevis Hotel Association, and Martha Hoffman, the owner of Montpellier Hotel. Wow. And they requested a copy of the agreement. And Mark have to stop hiding. And from what I gather from my own information, this matter would eventually end up in the court. And from my own information gathered as well, if it has to reach all the way to the Privy Council, it will go there. So, my Sweet Dog family, it's not just a constitutional impasse. It's gonna be judicial war as well. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yeah, Patches, good evening to you, man, and the listeners.
Good evening, my brother. How about thou?
Yeah, pretty good. I'm happy, that you keep bringing the information. Yes, that letter by the civil society over there in Nevis, very timely, man. That letter is going to put the pressure on Drew. And, the documents that Mark sent over there, we gotta get that in the open. We need that transparency.
Yes.
So now we're gonna see if Dr. Drew is gonna ignore this letter here, like he did many other letters that came to his desk. And the previous caller pointed out something where I want to elaborate on. I just want to say, when you follow the timeline with that Destiny project, you just got to keep listening. It just appears to me that the Premier is adjusting, or he has adjusted in terms of in regard to the running that Destiny project as a CBI project. Because, he seems like he's just sneaking that up in there, or, he doesn't want to totally disclose that. But the people in Nevis, man, cannot just sit there and let this thing happen. Now, you know how much consequences this project is going to have on Nevis? Social, political, and everything else. The face of Nevis, people can be changed. We see how Jamaica is, but we just got to be vigilant. And as you say, and other people and myself are making observations as well. And this can potentially create a rift between the Prime Minister and the Premier. And if Dr. Drew is concerned about his own political future, he needs to look at that project a little bit more closely. And maybe he's starting to do that, because this ad hoc committee that he has created is going to further delay this. And last observation is, who knows? Maybe Dr. Drew's now finding out this can be a referendum in the next election. And if this becomes this will become a referendum. And if it becomes a referendum, both the Prime Minister and the Premier are in trouble. And I hope the people are paying close attention, man. And I'll leave it there. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Patches, good night.
Good night, my brother.
First, I all want to give God thanks for life and give God thanks for our blessed country. Patches, that's why I always say that. Tell the people and beware of these politicians we elect to run the affairs of our country. Because you see, all kind of thing going on, trick and all kind of thing going on with the people. Can't do Mr. Washington article. When he was got on a radio program, he said one politician tricked the people of this country for 20 years. Now look at it, Patches. Mark Brantley is the leader of the opposition. And he going in parliament and then opposing not one thing the government bring in the house. Not one thing. And he's the leader of the opposition. So people got to be aware of him because parties is the way he do with a unity government. He scrambled a unity government just because she and all kind of different things are here doing the things for the people of Nevis economically to bring revenue to the country. Everything about the federal government. When the NRP was there, NRP was not all his problem. Project come to Nevis. You never hear Parry, none of them guys balling out and say that no come to Nevis, they want to pay, she they want thing. They go out and they look project, they do business and they look to bring in revenue in the country. I don't think Mark Brantley about the people of Nevis, Mark Brantley about himself and his friends and his family.
True.
Just like this Labour administration down here.
Own speech.
They're about the people of the country. They're about themselves and their friends.
And his family.
The family. Yes. So we got to be with them and this not the election coming up and I warning the people of Nevis. So stop, look and listen. And the people of Springgate too. Because we got to lead and the two of them playing tricks with the people in the federation. The two of them playing tricks. And I do not think this thing could work anymore. Because the people politically eyes are open and see what's going on. And the ear opening too. Patricia, have a wonderful night. God bless. And if I get any more thing to say, I will get back to on the program again.
Thank you very much for your contribution, my dear brother. Good night. Patches reads this email. I am writing just a simple email because I looked at Mark Brantley on the tape you played tonight, and he is sour and bitter for not sitting with the delegates of the CARICOM meeting, and this shows him that he in line with the big wigs. I never thought I would have seen him sitting in the back of the bus. I think that Mark is of the impression that he can override Terence Drew as the Prime Minister and with his idea of the Destiny scam. He insists that it is a Nevis project and he would go on with the project with or without the okay from Terence Drew. Is Mark crazy? He wants the Drew government to close down the project and he the Destiny gangster off the line? Mark must understand that even though he was the brightest student in his class, he has to respect authority. He mashed up Team Unity, which was his best shot and shameful move. Now he wants to mash up the nation of St. Kitts and Nevis. For his gain, the millions to be had. For the sake of money, he wants to mash up St. Kitts and Nevis also. Mark, you was successful shamefully in mashing up a good government. Now you want to become an enemy of Terence Drew, who you thought was giving you a free hand to do as you like and as you want, but Drew put a hole in your tire to slow you down. Forget Destiny Sham and finish the hospital, which is so badly needed, and also the airport. Mark learned to finish projects before starting another. Just a word of advice, because you are creating problems and Donald Trump has put us all through enough. The Destiny Project would make us fall in line with Antigua and Barbuda and Dominica with the 3-month U.S. visitors visa and a 29-day stay in the U.S. and even the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. Mark, think of the mistakes you are making. Mark, the cancellation of the Destiny scam would have no effect on the fifth farmers because they would not even be able to go near the project. Mark, you said you were the brightest student, but it now seems as though you are the biggest fool. Give back to people whatever money you have already collected, if you have already collected any. A word of advice. Thanks, Patches. You have the best television show and you should be on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Kind regards, a concerned and confused citizen reads this email. Thanks a lot, email. Yes, he said this, my Straight Talk family.
The Premier of Nevis, he holds a title similar to the one of Tobago House of Assembly Chief Secretary Fali Augustine, and they spoke about issues surrounding autonomy. And interestingly enough, he praised Prime Minister Prasad Bisesa for inviting Mr. Augustine to the CARICOM meeting. According to him, he wasn't even invited, and he is the Premier of Nevis. This is what he had to say.
Well, let me put it in context for you. The 50th anniversary is being celebrated in St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm the Premier of Nevis, and I wasn't invited. So I wasn't a part of any delegation. I merely attended the opening ceremony like everybody else, and that was it.
That was it. That's all he deserved, apparently, to Terence Michael Jew, putting him to the back of the bus. But if the Prime Minister ultimately refuses approval, Mark Brantley, the Premier, will face a defining choice. And I trust and hope that the CIU, Mr. St. Just, what's his first name? Calvin? St. Just, whatever is his name. I hope and pray that you are reviewing this proposal carefully. How could you approve 10,000 units? Impossible. What sort of public benefit option that would be? Sell our passports to pay for his own infrastructure? Sell our passports to pay for his land? Come on. Do we think we are mumu? Do we think we are foolish? And no matter what he says, my Straight Talk family, about realigning or realignment in terms of the Constitution, then let's just get that realignment sooner rather than later, my Straight Talk family. Let's just get that realignment fast, my Straight Talk family.
Just a clarification. February 19th, the Government Information Services say that the government has appointed an independent oversight body to pursuant to the laws of the Sustainable Development Act to oversee the Destiny project. And it states that on the 29th of January, it received a the application with the supporting documents was formally submitted by the Nevis Island Administration Cabinet to the Federal Cabinet on the 29th of January 2026.
But this is the one I really want, though. Forgive me for that, my Straight Talk family. This is the one I really want to expose to you, the realignment he spoke about.
A project for Nevis can be held up with committee after committee in St. Kitts. But if the project were just 2 miles away on the Southeast Peninsula, the people of Nevis and the government would have no input whatsoever. You remember there's a project called Christophe Harbour? Who asked the people of Nevis whether they wanted Christophe Harbour? Christophe Harbour closer to Nevis than it is to Bastia. But nobody asked us. And so that is the sometimes when we talk about the country and how the country needs realignment in terms of how we think, that's part of it. Because you have no say in what happens in St. Kitts. Zero. But St. Kitts can determine how far Nevis goes. That's why Nevis has an NIA. The people of Nevis have trusted the NIA, and I'm not making a party political comment here. I'm making a constitutional and democratic comment. The people of Nevis have chosen a government, whether it's NRP, CCM, or who. And that government is who the people of Nevis have reposed trust and confidence in to run their affairs. So if they say they want a chicken farm, and there is controversy or dispute over the chicken farm, then it is for the people of Nevis to decide that controversy at an election. And I have been very, very clear about these things. Cooperation is critical. Collaboration is critical. But the same way Nevis cannot stand in the way of St. Kitts' development, St. Kitts equally should not be able to stand in the way of Nevis' development.
My Street Talk family, let's go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller? Okay, I seem to have missed that caller. Forgive me for that. My Street Talk family. It's 9:47. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Mr. Liebert,
my dear.
You know what really upset me too is when they go to official like official places like and also like churches and funerals. And they like to call it honorable, and that really, really irritates me. You know, because they are no good. They don't deserve to be called honorable. Because all of them are vagabonds, according to Mr. Amri.
Yes, I very well believe you, and I very well know what you're speaking about. The whole constitutional heritage rebels at the thought of giving government the power to control men's minds. Yes, my Street Dog family, Nevis cannot control what St. Kitts does. And you know, when he said he wasn't invited, let me play this again, my Street Dog family, and listen to it carefully.
The Premier of Nevis, he holds a title similar to the one of Tobago House of Assembly Chief Secretary Fali Augustine, and they spoke about issues surrounding autonomy. And interestingly enough, he praised Prime Minister Prasad Bisesa for inviting Mr. Augustine to the CARICOM meeting. According to him, he wasn't even invited, and he is the Premier of Nevis. This is what he had to say.
Well, let me put it in context for you. The 50th anniversary is being celebrated in St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm the Premier of Nevis, and I wasn't invited. So I wasn't a part of any delegation. I merely attended the opening ceremony like everybody else, and that was it.
I wonder if he attended as the Premier opposition leader. Which one, my Street Talk family, do you think? But as we are on the uphill side of 10 o'clock, at 11 before 10 o'clock, for those who may have joined me late, tonight we are looking at the constitutional impasse that may determine destiny in Nevis. And I said destiny, and I'm using it twofold. One, the direction in which the economy is going in Nevis, and two, this destiny project which Mark wants to bring to Nevis and create an island in his island over there on the south coast of Nevis. And I asked the question from the onset: will there ever be mutual respect for the leadership of the two entities that make up the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis? And we know the two entities, the NIA, Nevis Island Administration, and the St. Kitts government. They call it the federal government. And that's a question, as I said, Straight Talk believes that will loom over the people of this federation as long as the Constitution remains in its current form without any amendments to the average petition and division. I am sure that this is not important once they can board a ferry at the terminal downtown Bastion or the Charlestown Pier, or a water taxi over there at Cockleshell or at Uwali there in Nevis until some astute political leader will put together the wisdom and the fortitude to build the bridge to connect St. Kitts and Nevis. And you know, if that bridge is built tomorrow, the Nevis economy will grow by 65%, exponentially. My straight dog family, the GDP, the access to that Nevis would get to 65% of the people in the Federation. Or perhaps some aspiring to lead, would understand that it's not about political expediency, but time to put the Federation on even foundations. My straight talk family, we go back to the lines and say good night. Caller, you live. Hello, caller. Caller, you have your equipment on. Are you there? Yeah, but turn the equipment off, can you?
Oh, hold on, baby.
10 o'clock.
Yes, Mr. Patches, how are you doing?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
I want the Prime Minister, right? When he going anywhere, he must walk with a focus bag and baggy face. So he embarrass and he doesn't embarrass us too much. He might tell him Mark, go to the meeting and let Mark wrap it up for him because he ain't know what he's saying. He ain't a street man. When you go back up the hospital, go walk up there and done with the thing. Give somebody the carry something. He can't talk. He's a little boy. Then I push school up monkey, you know? You need to go back to school, man. He doesn't embarrass people too much. I was making a lot of mistakes, embarrassing people. Anyway, see you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, caller. I feel your pain. You know, it's really an embarrassment when you listen to our Prime Minister, the chairman of CARICOM, and a straightforward question, and listen how he deals with it. Listen how he deals with this question, my straight dog family. I'll get it for you momentarily.
Did CARICOM support or endorse the United States military action in the Caribbean with regards to illegal drugs trade?
Right, you're asking about a question which I sought to answer at this particular time. You mean to say, Lucia? Right, good. Good.
He asked the question to you, and he asked the question whether CARICOM has endorsed.
Right, CARICOM stand on principle to make sure that anything that is done, this or anything, has to follow a particular international law. You're asking that CARICOM, with a CARICOM at this time and the necessary,
didn't even understand the note that was passed to him, and I agree wholeheartedly with this lady. Don't agree with her replacement, her recommended replacement, But I agree. He is an embarrassment to all of us. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good night, Kalikon Aunt. How are you, my husband?
I am peaceful, Kalikon Aunt. What about yourself?
Oh, I'm here giving God thanks and listening to you. I see the time getting fast and faster. Tick, tick, tick.
Yes.
The hour soon come for you to get home safe.
Yes, to make my exit, yes.
What is your topic tonight?
We're looking at the constitutional impasse that may determine the Destiny project. Destiny Nevis. You know that project that Mark wants to sell 10,000 passports or 10,000 shares and give about 40,000 passports and sell out some 2,400 acres of land in Nevis. You heard of it?
No.
You haven't heard of it? You haven't heard of it? Where you live? You haven't heard of the Destiny project?
No. Like I am from Nevis and I'm not a Nevision.
Come on, you didn't hear that Mark Brantley's wife, Sharon Mama Brantley, is what he called the go-between, this man from Belgium who wants to buy out. Yes, but it's the same project.
Yes, I heard about that one day.
Right, but, so,
you know, I can't take liberty because I don't want nobody to action me for my mouth.
No, well, let me tell you, if you don't want to talk about it, I can talk about it. Mark Brantley's spouse is Sharon Mama Brantley, is the go-between, according to Mark himself, the Olivia Johnsons, who is the developer. She's the only person selling real estate in this project. So his household will benefit millions of dollars from her commissions. And he said he didn't know. So I can talk for it for you. You don't talk about it. Let me talk for it for you. So his household will benefit millions of dollars from this project. Yes. The one that he's fighting so hard for it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But what's
Mr. The time will come, the time will come for the Nevision them to get rid of him. You see, it's just a matter of time. Mm-hmm. A man does much, but not for long. You see?
I said you're right.
What I want to say tonight, this Prime Minister that fooled the people them when he was campaigning and still fooling them, still got dark shades over their eye. He don't know what he's doing, He cannot run this country here, Mr. Loybon. He giving the land to the Jamaican them and the Spanish them. What happened to the people that live here? What happened to the Kittitian them? No land for them, they can't get the land. Huh? Mr. Loybon?
I'm listening to you. What do you think?
What happened to thinking people that can't get a piece of land too? And next thing again, he disgraced all the people them, the middle-aged people them, the old people them, he disgraced them. Every 25th of every month, the people them get the money, all who done work and done retire. He gone right down in couple months of this year, 2026. He gone right down to couple months of the 26th every month. He disgraced the people them. He disgraced the people them from getting the money every 25th of every month. He ain't got no respect for the old people them. He don't have no respect for them. He and the cabal them going, He and the cabal them going. The same thing that's in Point Timothy, I was going to come back on and ask them. Because who God bless, no man curse. Timothy used to look out for people in this country here. Nobody used to hungry. And no poverty come here with everybody. Poverty come here. He not boys nobody no more with the money whenever election call. Because everybody waiting for his backside. He and he cabal them. He don't know what he doing. He cannot run the country. He need to go. Pack up and go. Go back and do the medical thing them. They will want to get the way him. Doggy all of them will want to get the way of him. Because he don't know what he do. need 10,000? Telling him shit. 10,000 people outside that work hard like hell in the sun every day. What is $500? When you get the $500, you ain't going home with $500, Mr. Lightbod.
Okay. Okay, my dear, thanks a lot for your call. We seem to have lost a call. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good night, Mr. Patches.
Good night, sir.
Blessed good night to you. My first call, so excuse the stuttering. I wanted to start by saying that the caller from Nevis, the one with the lovely voice who leaves the quotations, I totally agree with her dislike of honourable outside of the parliamentary house. I think that the form is only for Parliament, really, to refer to another member in the Parliament, and it should not be carried out in public.
That is correct. That is correct. That is correct. You're totally correct.
I wonder how we get out of that, though.
It's been misused for all these years, so I don't know how we get out of that, you know? Yeah. But
for real.
You're correct. You're correct. You're so correct.
So, moving on, there was an observation with President Trump speaking. He's saying something about civilization, inferring that America is civilization. I don't know if he's studied history, but Persian history would suggest that Persian civilization, Iranian civilization, sort of quadruples, if not more, in terms of years to American civilization. So I think he's in for, a fairly rough wake-up call, because the construct of Persia is going to be rather difficult to get to wave the white flag, if you know what I mean. Next, it's quite a lot to unpack out of Mark Brantley's press conference, as usual. He says he's had these exhaustive consultations across Nevis. I suggest that they've only been exhaustive to him, because I was at the town hall when very clearly those that felt they could in the back of the back and side of the room were shouting, and those in the front were just nodding in agreement when the public said no to the question of whether people wanted the project in Nevis or not. Anyway, he's saying that they were exhaustive, and I suggest they were only to him because, as I say, at the town hall, those people left with way more questions than answers. And those that try to call into his show, if they're not on the call list, they're screened out, so they're not able to follow up and ask those extra questions that they've been wanting to since that town hall. Next, about when the project's going to start, he's there talking about he says he's sent down the agreement to Basse on the 23rd of December, and he says he knew that over the Christmas period the boys would be in Juve, but he's saying, let us get it out of the way. I mean, the inference there is that the spectre of Janssen is standing tall over him.
Right.
And Janssen has said, get it out of the way. And sure enough, out of the way he got it. Next thing, I'll try and keep it brief. It's far too much to unpack. Next thing, the committee, constituting a committee, as the Prime Minister in much wisdom has done, both to look at the agreement as well as the act. I think constituting a committee to look at the agreement in Nevis may have revealed some unwanted facts to do with conflicting interests and the like. So naturally, just constituting a committee after the agreement has been ratified, just to make sure that the implementation follows whatever respective timelines, makes sense from his perspective. From the Nevisian public's perspective, absolutely it does not make sense. And it's more than likely that the genesis of that Nevis Civil Society letter has come out of the disrespect that's been shown to the public, wishing to be fully abridged of the development. I mean, obviously all of this would have been completely avoided had things been done in a transparent manner. But we are where we are, as they say. Last thing I'll leave you with, because it's very late, is, okay, here we go. There's a caveat in the slideshow that I don't know if you picked up on. It's the fancy slideshow that was displayed during the stakeholder meets, the town hall. It comes up on the bottom of one of the economic analysis slides, and I'll read it so people who don't look at the fine print at the bottom of the slideshow, which I zoomed into to be able to read it. I'll read it so they can just hear it. And that caveat reads that the average annual investment during the construction period is almost twice as large as the St. Kitts and Nevis economy in 2025. We have not considered supply-side capacity constraints on the potential output of the economy, meaning unless there is an expansion in the economy's productive capacity, the project will increasingly rely on imports and foreign workers to sustain the projected level of spending, reducing the potential domestic impact. End of caveat. So that really spells out the little loophole, which is that our economy is just not geared to producing 1,000 units per year over a 10-year period. And if their wildly ambitious project were to come off, the rather sinister side of Dubai would become a reality on Nevis, and that's the indentured foreign labor workforce.
Yep.
So that's where I'll leave it tonight. As I said, my first call, I didn't really.
Well,
I didn't want to start it too much.
Well, I trust it won't be your last call.
I hope not. It took
rather in-depth, in-depth analysis to give us just now,
I hope not.
Yes.
There was an emailer last week who my opinions resonated with, one of the later emails that you read.
Okay.
I'd love to, if they can somehow reach out to me. This is Charles Gaskell in Nevis. I won't need my phone number, but I'm fairly easy to find. Their email essentially broke down. I mean, I very rarely disagree with you, I must say, but I do disagree somewhat on the sphere of influence for America in the West, not specifically because I don't recognize that they are our great superpower, but more because I really think that as humans, we owe it to other humans to respect self-determination. And I have studied Central and South American history quite extensively, certainly over the last 75 years or 70 years. And every sort of self-determination event that took place there was rounded up into the category of socialism or capitalism, and covertly or slightly more overtly quashed by the Americans. And puppet dictators or friendly to American people were installed. Hence, the masses of each of those countries were unable to self-determine. And I think that was what was illustrated in this email to you. So I wanted to just go ahead.
What would the world ought to look like if everybody has determined things for themselves? There must be some.
You mean without these three hegemonies?
Right.
Almost four. Well, what they're saying now is it's going to probably shift into an east and west block, and we have to suck salt in the west and deal with America.
And everybody had ballistic missiles. What do you do?
Well, this is the thing. It's when is Israel going to drop a nuclear bomb and shift the dynamic?
Bombs as well. Yeah. Well, it's an interesting world. We need some time to discuss that.
We'll save it for another.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, many thanks. I am fully engaged on a bi-weekly basis.
Very good to hear. Very good to hear you, man.
I hope you make it home tonight in the knowledge that your program truly is enriching the debate and really helping people gather their thoughts. We're going through here and across the world a really extremely transformative time.
I'm humbled, brother. I'm humbled.
Yeah. Have a blessed night, man. Many thanks.
My pleasure, sir. Have yourself a wonderful night as well. And perhaps that's a nice way to end tonight's programming, my Straight Dog family, with that in-depth call coming from across the Narrows, in Nevis, as we discuss the impasse surrounding the proposed Destiny project in Nevis, coming from the lack of response which seemed to have strained the relationship between Prime Minister Terence Drew and his backbencher and opposition leader Mark Anthony Graham Brantley. And the approval of the Destiny project would, I believe, create something like, I don't know if demographic suicide is a good term to use. But the caller just mentioned, I think he said Gaskell, yes, just mentioned the letter from the Nevis Civil Society. And he made a good point, and that's a point I'm going to leave with you as well. Why should we scrutinize a document or an agreement after it's gone to Parliament? The people must be able to look at that document before it goes to the Parliament and make their input. This transparency these people in government talk about, it's a kind of transparency we've never heard of in our lives. We talk about governance, good governance, and accountability, lacking everywhere. But the truth is that the broader constitutional ambiguities that are embedded in the 1983 Constitution, together, they raise a fundamental question. Can mutual respect truly exist between the federal government in St. Kitts and the Nevis administration on the current constitutional agreement? And my Straight Dog family, Brantley occupies a constitutional or constitutionally unusual and politically delicate position, a premier of Nevis and leader of the opposition in the federal parliament. So he straddles both arms of the federation. And my Straight Dog family, he complained of his exclusion from the delegation, the Prime Minister's delegation that attended the CARICOM 50.
Premier of Nevis. He holds a title similar to the one of Tobago House of Assembly Chief Secretary Fali Augustine, and they spoke about issues surrounding autonomy. And interestingly enough, he praised Prime Minister Prasad Bisesa for inviting Mr. Augustine to the CARICOM meeting. According to him, he wasn't even invited, and he is the Premier of Nevis. This is what he had to say.
Well, let me put it in context for you. The 50th anniversary is being celebrated in St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm the Premier of Nevis, and I wasn't invited. So I wasn't a part of any delegation. I merely attended the opening ceremony like everybody else, and that was it.
But one of the questions we may ask is, can you divide the Premier of Nevis from the leader of Her Majesty's loyal opposition? Can we? That's a question we must ponder about. But my Stray Dog family, as we wrap tonight's programming, the tensions that we find existing between St. Kitts and Nevis are rooted in structural imbalance. Nevis has constitutionally protected a constitutionally protected autonomy. St. Kitts, despite being the larger partner, lacks reciprocal safeguards. The federal authority is required for certain approvals, creating potential veto points. And we have political actors holding dual roles, like the Premier and the leader of the opposition, and other actors that blur the separation of powers. And this structure incentivizes political expediency over institutional clarity. My Stray Dog family, we hope the Prime Minister will continue to delay or in fact refuse to sign up on the Destiny project, because it's not good for Nevis in its form. And we promote development. Mark, we promote development, but no Dubai in Little Nevis. Not at all, my Stray Dog family. And I agree with the content of that letter, I shall post for the last time, from the Nevis Civil Society. And the request, as they wrote, is grounded in the constitutional right of citizens to examine agreements affecting their governance before parliamentary ratification. How else should that be? It should be no other way else. Not at all, my Stray Dog family. But as we wrap, the timing of this impasse is particularly perilous, dangerous, because the Federation faces rising cost of living pressures or increasing national debt. And tell Mark Brantley that even though when the federal government guarantees your loans, if you don't pay, who pays? And you don't like to pay, we understand. Like you haven't paid the Social Security for your workers. You haven't paid the Social Security for your rents. And with now you reduce CBI revenues for your budgetary support, we are in trouble. Because in such an environment, prolonged institutional conflict could undermine investor confidence and economic stability. The Destiny Project is not about land fundamentally, signatures, or yachts. It is about constitutional clarity, political trust, and the unresolved psychology of a federation born of reluctant unity. And my Straight Dog family, mutual respect between St. Kitts and Nevis will not be achieved by ferry rides between Basti and Charlestown. It will only emerge through constitutional reform that clearly delineates powers, removes ambiguities, and institutionalizes fairness beyond personalities. We should never have a situation where a project comes to any part of the Federation. In this case, let's speak to Nevis, where the Premier's household is stand to benefit millions of dollars. Something is wrong with that. And absent of reform, the Federation risks retaining what it has too often been, a political marriage sustained not by harmony, but by necessity. And necessity, history teaches us, is really a stable foundation for unity. So we'll continue to watch as this constitutional impasse may determine destiny in Nevis. That's my story tonight, my Straight Talk family, and I am not going to change it. I want to thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight. As always, I want to thank all you viewers, listeners, those who sent emails and those who called. Remember, my Straight Talk family, you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. Have yourselves the best of what's left of the rest of tonight. And remember that whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Thursday for another edition of Straight Talk. Bye-bye, my Straight Talk family.
In the morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praise.